The situation is this: there are additional questions that are being asked of the Viva Palestina convoy, and those questions pertain to the specific medicines, the specific trucks, the specific cars, and the specific individuals who will be in those cars and trucks. And the Viva Palestina leadership under George Galloway is perfectly happy to comply with all of the additional questions that have been asked of it. They do note, however, or I shouldn't say that because I'm using it and they, the Viva Palestina leadership is perfectly happy to comply with all of the additional requests for information that have been made of it. However, it should be noted that these requests are new. Today, I went to the U.S. Embassy and signed a form that cost $30 for the U.S. Embassy to process, and it is an affidavit. The affidavit states, I, Karina Klein, Vice Consul, certify that on this day, July 13th, 2009, the individual named below appeared before me and being duly sworn made the statements set below. This is the statement. I have read and understood the travel warning issued by U.S. Department of State relating to travel to the Gaza Strip. I assume the risk for myself, and I understand the embassy does not recommend my travel to the Gaza Strip. I also understand that the embassy cannot provide me with consular services in the Gaza Strip. And I signed that, Cynthia McKinney, and it's also signed and stamped by Karina Klein, Vice Consul, Embassy of the United States of America. This is in the city of Cairo in Egypt.
Okay, so the Israelis have been saying, they said both after the trip you took in December when they rammed you, and the trip last week when they arrested you guys or kidnapped you really legally, that it's not necessary to bring supplies in over the water, that there are regular supplies and a regular process for bringing aid into Gaza that's ongoing. So why is it that the process is changing midstream now, making, this medicine is, has expiration dates, all these things that were declared earlier, now they need additional documentation. What is that?
Well, actually, the process has not been an easy one ever. And that is what should be noted ever since Ariel Sharon in 2005 decided that the total clampdown, I should say lockdown, of the residents in Gaza was something that was in the national interest of Israel. And that includes chocolate for the people and crayons for the children. Now, there is a doctor who lives in Cyprus. She specializes in reconstructive surgery, which is something that is desperately needed in Gaza after the U.S. supplied bombs and missiles mangled the bodies of many of the people there. And she's been waiting 9 months to get in, and she's still not in. Almost in desperation, she has taken to refurbishing a catamaran and says that she is going to go by sea since she can't go by land. She can't get in by land. What the Israelis have been saying does not jibe with the facts. And it's not the first time that we have discovered that the Israeli version is far from the true reality that people face on a daily basis. So we are here in a hotel in Cairo, and the Viva Palestina convoy is busy at work trying to satisfy these additional requirements of the Egyptian government. They are happy to comply. They want to comply because they want this medical aid and the vehicles to get into Gaza. Another thing I think it's important to point out is this: the argument of Israel that the normal way to get things into Gaza is to go through Egypt denies the right of self determination to the people of Gaza and the Palestinian people. It is akin to I'm born and raised in Georgia, and I decide that I want to make a visit to California, and North Dakota says, well, you've got to get permission from us before you can go visit California. That's the situation that the people of Gaza and that we face because we want to visit Gaza. That is a complete denial of the human rights of the people of Gaza. It's a complete denial of the human rights and of self-determination as guaranteed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Uh, Israel's saying that the International Red Cross has been coordinating very well with them in getting medical supplies into Gaza. And interestingly, in January, this past January, on January 16th, actually, Condoleezza Rice told a press conference in Washington, D.C., that they had reached an agreement with Israel that provides U.S. support for monitoring the border with Egypt, with respect to Gaza. So the U.S. has a hand in this. So have you seen any evidence of the Red Cross the International Red Cross being involved in medical supplies or any of that?
Well, what I can say is what George Galloway said on Al Jazeera last night. And he emphasized that the convoy is determined to take the medical supplies into Gaza. And here's his quote. He said, if the Egyptian authorities want us to jump through yet another hoop, we will, even though their ambassadors in Washington, D.C., London, and Tripoli, Libya, were already supplied with the information at their request. The U.S. Embassy in Cairo was informed about the mission, as was the Egyptian Foreign Ministry. In fact, Charles Barron, city council member from New York City, and George Galloway met with the deputy foreign minister of Egypt this morning. And as of this afternoon, Cairo time, we still do not have authorization to go to Gaza.
Any indication of when this is going to happen, if it happens?
Well, everybody in the Viva Palestina convoy is working very diligently right now to satisfy the new requests that have been made of them by the Egyptian government. And so we hope that we will be able to leave this evening or at the latest tomorrow. You can probably tell I'm real tired, so I think
Yep.
yeah.
2 trips inside of 14 days or whatever, facing the same situation. At least they're not shooting at you yet.
Right, and we hope
This
that it
time.
does. Yeah, that it doesn't turn to that. Although there was a confrontation with between Charles Barron and the Egyptian authorities when the convoy tried to make it across the bridge onto the Sinai Peninsula. And the authorities had instructed their soldiers not to let the convoy pass. And so I arrived late and I was surprised to find the convoy still in Cairo because the convoy should have crossed over into Sinai. That did not happen, which allowed me to catch up with everyone. And so we are now all together and still awaiting the opportunity to move.
As you mentioned, Charles Barron is a city council member in New York City. Has there been any word of support from Mayor Bloomberg?
Well, Bloomberg did go to Israel after Operation Cast Lead. I don't think he visited Gaza.
Yeah, I haven't heard any reports of that either.